We'll call this regular Board of Selectmen meeting to order at 5:30 on Monday, May 5th, 2025. In attendance, we have Selectwoman Jude Reed, Selectman Jim Lampos, First Selectwoman Martha Shoemaker, and various members of the community and boards and commissions. We also have some people online as well. So now that we've gone over attendance, information items, communication and correspondences, probably correspondence that I brought, but I did want to talk to you about two informational things that happened today. We did have a meeting. We have received both deeds to the east and west side of the area by the Bow Bridge. They have been recorded in the town clerk's office. And we will be making a recommendation going forward that if by any chance, when we decide to proceed with the Bow Bridge, we will not construct a Bow Bridge without a fishing pier and a dock.
Okay.
If at some point we decide we're not doing the Bow Bridge, we still, to keep those two pieces of land, still need to do a fishing pier and a dock.
Okay, so that's a contingency.
Right.
Okay, and it's a proposed bridge.
Right. I mean, we're not,
Right.
nothing,
That's just
nothing's
clarifying.
going on. Proposed.
But the land we will continue to have ownership provided we do a pier.
Right. And we've had the west side since
Yes.
2015. Now,
Right.
10 years later, they've given us the east side,
Cool.
which is very nice of them considering.
Is there a time limit on that?
They just said to me to keep in contact with them. So
Okay. Thank you.
that will be written in to First Selectmen's rule to keep in contact with Deep. The next thing also too is that 2025 is one of those years that we can apply for a community connectivity grant for sidewalks for Halls Road or anywhere else in town. So the next offering for this grant would be 2027. So I did have a brief conversation with someone from the state, and they said you should go for it. So if we want to, it is May 5th now. This grant is due May 21st. This would be an all hands on effort. I have had the town engineer look at it. We have a concept design. We would be most likely asking for just the sidewalks on the northern side because we have some sidewalk there now, and start with that. And then in 2 years could possibly go for the other side. The only problems lie is if someone should buy, let's say, the Hideaway Plaza, which is why I call it the marketplace.
Mhm.
And they say, oh, we want to reconfigure the entrance, then we'd probably have to put something in that you could do it, but you've got to fix our sidewalk if
Exactly.
you mess it up.
Right.
So those types of things. So I'm willing to put my team on
Mhm.
full steam ahead if the two of you are in agreement, we push through with this.
I think it makes perfect
Because
sense.
otherwise we have to wait 2 more years.
I think that's what the public has wanted, the location where there's already some sidewalks. Granted, they'd have to be modified. I think it's logical.
So
Yeah.
the way this grant works, and my understanding is we have 3 years to finish a design concept.
Oh, wow.
We have a design concept that was done by BSC. So we have a design concept. But to get the design plans together, we have 3 years to finish that and then go into construction. And it's 100% for construction. We'd have to handle all the design stuff. So we'd have to, and we have money set
Yep.
aside for that. So
Well, I've been in full grant writing mode, as you know, so I will help in any way I can to get that going.
thank you.
I'd love to see us apply for that.
Okay, so that's,
I don't have experience in grant writing, but I am happy.
how are
to
you
help.
proofing? You good
I'm
at
good at
proofing?
proofing. Yeah.
Good, we'll get you in.
Especially if
proofing.
you print it out on paper and then it's more obvious as soon as you think you're done.
Right.
So, yes, I'm very happy to help.
Okay, So I'll let the town engineers know, and I'll put Katie on it to look over what we have to do. And we have some materials that we should have had from Halls Road that we can pull for some of the niceties, but we'll go through with that.
In regards to grant writing, someone who is involved in boards and committees, Jen Miller, told me she is a certified grant writer.
Yes, she just,
So if we could get her, if we need.
yep. Okay. Is there anyone, either one of you with, I mean, I also have some things that go with what we're talking about today, so I'm just gonna bring those correspondences up as we get to each of the
Same here.
ordinances.
I've received correspondence today that has to do with agenda items. So,
Right. So we'll,
I'm good.
okay.
And I know it's a.
I'm sorry, but
Really,
for those of you in attendance, I need to be at the Board of Ed meeting at 6:30, so we're moving quickly tonight. Any public comment? Mary? Yeah, please do. Mary Daly. I don't remember the number, but it's Portland Ave.
Thank you. So, thank you, first of all, Martha, for obtaining the data from Connecticut Water. We understand that it's confidential and we feel it's very valuable. So we appreciate your effort in doing that and trusting us with that data. It is instrumental in helping us identify by elimination who is still actively using wells in Soundview and Area B, and therefore may need special consideration. More importantly, however, it removes the guesswork as to how much water in nearby Soundview Area B we generate over a course of a year. In general, this data indicates that our community averages 10,000 gallons per day, not 50,000 gallons as stipulated in the New London and East Lyme agreements. And yet, the intention is to hold Soundview and Area B financially responsible for contractual connections fees 5 times greater than what they actually require. This is not right, and hopefully it will be corrected. Today, however, I received a call from the day, per the reporter, a chairman, stated to the day that Dennis and I have a conflict of interest as members on the WPCA. The reporter was interested in hearing our response. I was quite surprised to receive this call since considerable time was spent in April reviewing code of conduct and public communication. So I ask, is it okay for a chairman to make public statements to the press, singling out 2 board members? In turn, we could respond with our long list of conflict of interest concerns, naming individuals, but thought it would be best to bring it to you first for your advice. We believe we were appointed to the WPCA by the Board of Selectmen to represent Soundview and Area B because it was clear that the area was not represented. We are trying to fill that need. We have always disclosed our membership with the Soundview Sewer Coalition, and we have no plans to discontinue that. The Soundview Sewer Coalition has several times stated it is working in the best interest of the town and the community. Without question, Dennis and I want what is best for this town and for the environment, and specifically for our community. We just do not agree that burdening our community with the financial hardship and environmental exposure sewers would introduce. That is the best way to go. We do believe there are affordable green alternatives. And in 2024, we brought Dave Potts to the table to professionally explain that. And he did a great job. And when the sewer project is deemed unaffordable, we hope to bring back to the table green alternatives that are eligible for clean water funds and acceptable to DEEP. That is what we think is best for Soundview and Area B and the town. Thank you for listening. And just by the way, one comment, Dennis and I we did not support assigning an EDU to the bus stop. So we voted against that, but.
Can I have that to
Yes.
just
Thank you.
put in with the minutes? Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Is there any public comment online? Anyone with public comment? Whoever has the 508-1058 number, would you please mute yourself because I notice you are not muted. Anyone else? Scott, did you want to say something?
Yeah, real quick. Just a comment on old business on today's agenda about the draft Soundview parking and the review of golf carts ordinance. Is there any way that I or we can see what you're coming to, or is this going to come to give to the public to take a look at, comment on, or how's the process go about? And lastly, I don't know if there's anything that could be done about sending out a communication on dogs on the beach. We're getting a lot of folks, driving up and just running dogs on the beach. So I don't know if, I can obviously get a hold of the town dog warden or whatever, but I didn't know if there could be a communication and a reminder of protocol on keeping dogs on leash, and they really don't belong on the beach during this time. I think it's April 1st, I don't know, October 1st or something like that. So would appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, I will address the ordinance reviews when we get to ordinances. So if you stay online, you'll hear the process. And duly noted on the dogs. Anyone else online? Okay, seeing no one else's hand is raised, we are moving on to approval of minutes. We have the special Board of Education, sorry, special Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from April 21st, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes from April 21.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, let's call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the special meeting on April 21st, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. All right, next on the agenda is our regular Board of Selectmen meeting on April 21st, 2025 at 5:30 PM. Are there any comments?
I have one correction.
What
Um,
page?
Page 3, number 8, Nancy O'Brien, her name is spelled incorrectly,
Number,
right under 8.
oh, it is. It needs an E.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought maybe it was a nickname, but I see on the screen here it is Nancy.
Yes, it is. And
Thank you.
I think O'Brien
Is with an E, not an
is an
N.
E as well. So Nancy O'Brien's name is missing. It should be Nancy, Nancy, and O'Brien with an E at the end, not the A-N, not E-A-N, E-N. Jim?
Just one small item on page 2, under new business, last paragraph in section A. I also asked for a determination from Connecticut DOT as to whether sidewalks across the existing Lieutenant River Bridge were also possible.
Okay. So sidewalks across existing.
Is that something we could pursue?
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Not I.
All right, hearing no other items. I know, that's what I was gonna ask for now. Sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes with the necessary changes on page 2 and page 3?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jude. Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of April 21st with the amended changes, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, we're moving on to, I was under new business, I was contacted by Jen Miller for Affordable Housing that they have agreed that they would like to have the following representatives named to the River Cog Housing Committee. Jen Miller would be the primary and Amy Hoosier, I think it says Hoosier, Hosier, Hosier will continue as the alternate. Jen said she's been attending the meetings, but, because as Michael Poliano has been transitioning off, but, we just thought it would be a good idea if we formalized this in a vote to name Jen with the alternate of Amy.
And this is her recommendation.
Yes, it is her recommendation. She just went on.
Okay, good.
They actually voted on it in their meeting. I just think we should vote on it and let Rivercog know that we agree. So can I have a motion to name Jen Miller as the rep for,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
so this is the Rivercog Housing Committee and Jen, and then Amy is Hosier.
Is there a time period, time frame of the position?
I think until somebody wants to get off. I mean,
I didn't know if it was coming to an end in November or how it worked. It's an
No.
appointment, so.
the Rivercog runs this for
Okay.
eon. So you're a life member, I think, unless you decide to step down like Michael did. Okay, all those in favor of naming Jen and Amy to those positions, please signify by saying aye.
I
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, so the next one, and by the way, I should let you know that the request from the estuary and the Eversource resolution are the one and the same. Unfortunately, on Friday, when I was doing this, I put it on twice and I'm sorry, but we're gonna do it as the request from the estuary, which I did send you a copy of this letter.
Yep.
And the resolution. I will tell you that I have had 2 communications. And I thought I brought them. Sorry, let me just, they're here. I had 1 communication from Norm Needleman to the group. Concerned about the cost of putting these wires under. And Irene Haynes also from Deep River also asked the same questions. Because she said, although I understand the environmental impacts, she said, I do wonder about this particular resolution.
I have similar questions, and it's pretty much the only question I had. How recently had project like that been done? Does it shut down the use of the river while they're working on it? And how does it impact costs to the customers? I mean, I'm certainly in favor of protecting the environment, but those are questions that I'd like more information on.
So Suzanne is here and she might be able to answer a few of those questions. Would you like to pop up?
Yes, we're all concerned about costs, believe me. So I appreciate you putting this on the agenda quickly. As you know, I'm one of your town's 2 appointees to the Connecticut River Gateway Commission. The request that we put out as a commission, this is the full commission all saying, we want to go ahead and make this request to all of our 8-member towns. Consider this as we are trying to raise awareness and get attention to the process that's ongoing with Eversource. The power lines that run across the Connecticut River were never supposed to be there back in the 60s. The predecessor of Eversource was told to remove them, and they were given 5 years to do that. Connecticut Siting Council was created in the 70s, and the Eversource came back with a predecessor business to Eversource, a different name, came back with the cost would be astronomical to be drilling underneath the river. So we fast forward 45, 50 years, they have decided it's time to replace those wires, to also upgrade them and to upgrade the pylons that they go on. They are going with a petition process that would not be a full hearing with the Connecticut Siting Council, that would not allow for them to present or for anyone else to ask, what are the alternatives? Do these wires really need to go across the river? So this is kind of like a once in a 50-year opportunity by us saying, and we've had the Eversource invited to our monthly meetings. We meet every 4th Thursday of the month. and said, please give us an update on this project. What's going on? And it comes down to, well, you'll see it when it comes before the Connecticut Siting Council. That is too late for anyone. Yes.
The question I have is your request to have it go through the normal regulatory channels instead of
Yes,
fast forwarding.
exactly.
So if we agreed to this, we are not agreeing to drilling. We are agreeing to have it go before the siting council so we can all
Well,
find out more,
It's going to go before the Siting Council anyway.
but in
So-
a public way.
Well, not right now. No, what this current situation will be sometime later in May, we believe. They keep telling us the next quarter, we're going to file with the Connecticut Siting Council. You can see it all then. And it's like, but that's too late. Please lay out more information for us. We have invited them once again to our May meeting, the fourth Thursday of the month of May. And would love to have the towns to come to this. The Gateway Commission is about the only regional entity to step up and say, hey, it crosses from East Haddam to Haddam. Okay, this is an impact to the whole region. When and where are you going to have a regional assessment of what's going on here? And yes, lay out the costs. But there have been other underwater drilling. It's horizontal HHD.
Right.
I'm not an engineer. I'm sorry. The technology has improved. They no longer put PCBs inside one tube inside the other tube. I mean, it's come a long way. You've actually had Eversource do drilling here, an old line underneath the river. So it can be done. But it's kind of a feeling like, well, what we did back in replacing it in the 70s worked, and we just gave $1 million to the state. Well, then as a settlement fee. So the $1 million was given to the Gateway Commission, and that is the investment funds that we use to turn around to help buy open space by land trusts and towns and conservation organizations. But so I don't want another payoff. I want somebody I want them to open up an address and say, here, we're going to lay it out. We're going to do a full review with you. If it costs too much to do that, okay. But let's just not make the conclusion that the current proposal will have no adverse effect on the environment. So we can just replace the wires. Like, it's not that simple. So that first resolution, as I say, you can adopt a resolution that says that we just want you to deny the initial petition. I'll get you the exact language of it and have a full review. That's really what we want of this. And so we can have a reasonable discussion. It will cost something over time, but this should be amortized over 50 years because they're not going to do it again for a long time.
So my question to you is, do you need this at this meeting, or could we let us do some more research and have this at our second meeting?
I would welcome it the second meeting. I think this was really, we wanted to get, we're not that skilled at dealing with the Connecticut Siting Council or knowing what to say. So we've engaged Attorney Keith Ainsworth, who has a lot of experience with this, to do this. So let us give you more information.
That would be great.
What you're actually asking for. And I will keep you apprised when we have presentations by Eversource to us. I'd love to have, it will be a political
Let us know.
decision. Exactly.
Let us know.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you,
perfect.
Suzanne.
Thank you,
Stay
Suzanne.
tuned.
Okay, this I received from Mark Wayland today. We went through and did permit fees reviews from all of the towns in the River Cog, et cetera. And Mark and Katie pulled it all together for Mark. So he discovered that we're low in comparison. And the last time we increased our fees was January 1st of 2020. Accordingly, I'm requesting an increase in our fee schedule as follows. Our current fee schedule is $25 for the first $1,000 of a building permit and $12 for each additional 1,000. What Mark is proposing is that we raise our fees to $30 for the first $1,000 and add $15 for each additional 1,000.
So going from 12.50 to 15.
Right.
Okay.
So $5 up on that first one and $3 per additional 1,000. If we vote on this tonight, this would not go into effect until July 1st. We would give people time.
So that those rates would be in line with surrounding areas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't bring you all the information. One of the area towns says $50 for the first 1,000, and then it increases by 15 or 20
The
per
baby
1,000.
steps.
But we thought this was a good compromise, but Mark looked it all over and he came up with this and feels this is a
And it's been 5 years, you said?
5 years.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to review it maybe every couple of years moving forward.
I'd like to make a motion to increase our building department fees from $25 to $30 for each $1,000, and for the first $1,000, and from $12 to $15 for each additional 1,000.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you both. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of increasing the building permit fees as noted in Mr. Whalen's letter, which by the way, I will put into the minutes as well. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to ordinance review for harbor management. We received 2 of these, one of which went to the attorneys, and then we received a later one.
Right.
So we have this before us, and before we start discussion, can we have a motion on the floor to approve, and then we can do discussion and make notations where necessary.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance draft from Harbor Management.
I will second.
Okay. Thank you both. Can we, let's open this up for discussion because I believe that some of us have thoughts and feelings on this. So I do appreciate the fact that Matt Lynch worked so hard on getting this done for us so that we could get it ready for our town meeting in May. So that's what our goal is to have this ready to go before the town meeting in May. So I'll open it up for discussion.
Yeah, well, Matt and I have had extensive discussions over the last month or so about this, and I believe we had a good ordinance set up that was vetted through DEEP, that Matt had talked to DEEP and they had approved it. And I had extensive conversations with the Sound View Commission as well. And although we had some reservations, it wasn't everything we wanted. They agreed that there's a lot of good stuff here, a lot of stuff that we need. So, 50 or 80% of something is more than 100% of nothing. So, Sound View Commission was on board with it. So, we look like we're in good shape for a meeting tonight to get that through. But Wednesday, a day prior to Harbor Management's special meeting, 3 new provisions were added to the ordinance. And Harbor Master Lynch confirmed that these did not come from DEEP or from him, but were last minute additions. I had not seen them, and Sound View Commission had not seen them prior to their vote. The new provisions are 58-2B, 58-7B, and the town-owned assets portion of 58-33. So 58-2B gives the Harbor Management Commission, quote, authority to develop and implement a plan for the maintenance, improvement, and management of the upland support parcels defined in 58-33A. The authority includes, but is not limited to mowing, parking area improvements, removal and control of not only invasive species, but other vegetation, prioritizing water access for recreational fishing, crabbing, and navigational purposes. Also installation of public amenities and any other improvements deemed necessary by the Commission. 58-7B gives the Harbor Management Commission and its duly authorized agents or contractors power to implement and enforce these provisions. And 58-33A lists several properties, including Horseneck Creek and, quote, any other town-owned property designated by the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of public access to Old Lime's waters, and any other property that the town may acquire through purchase or donation that is specifically for use as a water access point to the tidal waters of the state of Connecticut. In subsequent conversations, our harbor master didn't take a position on these provisions. but these can be eliminated without harming the ordinance, to go back to what Deep had already approved and had vetted. Harbor management is not really in the position currently with its budget and volunteer personnel to carry out all of these duties. And I'd like to note that the Soundview Commission, not having seen it, sent us a letter
Yes.
opposing this. It does open up a territorial conflict. For instance, the way this is written, harbor management would have control to implement plans, to devise plans and implement plans for White Sands Beach in the parking lot there. And Open Space also sent me a letter, Greg Fatoma, saying that contrary to the opinion of the chair of harbor management, Open Space is not interested in giving up Horseneck Creek. They want to continue under the arrangement that was negotiated a few years ago to manage the uplands. They've done a lot of work there, educational signage, and to share their authority with harbor management. So the new provisions have nothing to do with moorings or regulating boating activity. They have to do solely with controlling waterfront parcels, the associated uplands, parking facilities, and other supporting features. That's part of a separate conversation this board can have. But some of these issues are going to be controversial. It would create jurisdictional disputes where none currently exist. So I don't think we should jeopardize the consideration of this set of good ordinances that have been vetted and ready to go and put into place for this summer if they're approved at town meeting on the 19th. With these last minute additions that came a couple days ago, which are going to engender these sort of jurisdictional disputes. So my motion would be that we approve the ordinance as drafted by Harbor Master Lynch in coordination with DEEP and as voted on by the Soundview Commission last Monday, but remove the last minute additions 58.2B, 58.7B, and 58.33 definition of town-owned assets.
Jude, anything?
We don't have a motion yet, right? So,
I did, and
We did
I
motion to approve.
okay, I did.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while. It's been a few minutes.
We're
Um,
discussing.
Yes. I would like to know more about those three changes. Whether I talk to Matt or people from Greg, Cherry, someone, because I haven't had the conversations that you have. So I don't feel comfortable voting on it.
Well, if we do not vote on this today,
Mhm.
this does not go to town meeting unless we
Understood.
have a special meeting Wednesday.
Understood.
So
Um,
that, and I will also note, editor's notes, in lots of this, it says figure number 5 is on file in the town clerk's office,
yeah,
those things. And amazingly so, the town clerk's office has no idea what we're talking about.
well,
So those types of things need to be clarified
Mhm.
because this is not totally correct with what we understand. So it may have been in relationship to something else in the past, but it's noted as something else or maybe mislabeled in the town clerk's office or mislabeled here. So we need to find out what exactly we're talking about on those types of things.
that's part of my question.
I am willing to do a very quick special meeting on May 7th at any point in the day to have these questions answered.
Today's the 5th.
Today's the 5th. We have to get our warning into the paper by the 8th. So I can do a draft of the warning with the lawyers to include this. And then on the 7th, if we choose not to, then we can take it off, but before it goes to press.
Jim, if you'd be willing to share with me, I think you were reading
share
something.
with you everything I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can look at it
Sure.
before we actually vote.
I think you did get this stuff from Frank this afternoon. You got correspondence from Frank. You're on here.
I was not in a position to print this out
That's
before I
okay.
came in, so no, I haven't seen that yet. The
Yeah.
same
Okay.
thing with what you
That'll
just
be in
gave
your
me.
email when you,
And
Yeah.
I did suggest some conciliatory changes to the language where we would change all water access to maybe boating access. So, harbor
Right,
management,
swimming is
yeah.
different than,
That did not go well with the chair of harbor management. And I also suggested that perhaps we could specify which parcels, like Pilgrim's Landing makes sense, Town Landing makes sense, Ferry Road makes sense, but not have it be open-ended, all the water access now and anything that we will acquire in the future. That did not go well. So, and I didn't get any sort of counter.
was
Proposal.
there any written communication from Terry?
I've read communication from Matt. I do not have any from Terry. Terry called me 2 or 3 times, and we had.
Again, I just don't feel that I'm quite as up to speed as you are, even though I printed out,
Sure.
reviewed, had my
Yeah.
questions. I'd like to hear more before,
I'd be
between now and a
I'd
vote.
be happy to share.
Thank you.
Everything I have with you.
Okay, so do we agree that we could do a special meeting on this on Wednesday at some point in time?
I'm good on Wednesday.
Jim, you name the time because I know you kind of are balancing,
Just,
going back and forth to,
yes, I'm good on Wednesday.
what time would you prefer?
I can do
I'm flexible.
after 10 or from 10 until noon or from 2
And works.
on.
10, 11 in there works for me.
Okay.
Let's do 10:30. That gives you
10:30, that's
another
great.
half hour. 10:30 special meeting. Okay, so we're gonna table.
Actually,
Oh, we have to
I'm on
vote
it.
on the, we have to vote on this because we did put a motion on the floor. So we're going to vote not to approve. That would be my choice, but we will be, note that we will.
I spoke too soon. I am leaving town tonight until Thursday, but I can do remote.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll make sure I'm somewhere where I can log in.
10:30 still work? You let me know tonight.
Can we
You
do
let-
11?
Yeah.
Just to be
Yeah,
safe, and
that's
that way
fine.
I can get my bearings where I am
And
and
if
figure
you-
out 11 o'clock
If you
Wednesday.
need to change, Jim's 10 to 12, or what was the other time? 10 to 12 or
After.
After 2 o'clock.
after 2. So if something else changes for you, the
Okay.
only thing I have is.
So
is-
right now it's 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And you'll send me the details to connect.
Okay,
Okay, and the agenda.
yes,
Thank you.
okay. Special meeting. Okay, Chips. Okay, all right. Next up on the hip parade is, oh, sorry, we have to vote. All those in favor of accepting this ordinance to go to town meeting, to approve this to go to town meeting signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? None. Ordinance doesn't pass to go to town meeting, but there will be a special meeting on Wednesday.
I'd also like to thank Matt for all the hard work he's been doing with this and for being so generous with his time and having conversations with me.
Yeah, I think those figures are also in the harbor management plan. I'll look into that, and if I can find them, I'll send it to you.
All right,
'Cause I
you
know-
could just,
I know I've seen it.
or you could, okay, so maybe we just need to know where they are in the town clerks.
I actually did some research in the town clerk's office last week. And they are in fact in an older harbor management plan. They're not attached to the current one, which was 2012. But they are attached to the older one, which I think is 1989, maybe, or 1992, something like that. But there is one of the books on file in the town clerk's office that the numbers do match. So I guess those documents should just be scanned and added to the information on it.
Or noted that they are in the 1989 plan.
They're in the 1989 plan, and Vicki was amazing about finding them. She knows exactly where they are.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's an easy peasy fix that we can do.
If you have any questions, call me.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
can't be at your special meeting.
that's okay.
but,
Thank you, Matt.
You can't call in from the boat?
So I'm actually training your teeth this week,
Oh, cool.
all day is this.
All right,
Thanks, Sid.
all right. So then we move on to the Soundview parking lot, which you got today.
Yes.
In red, and I'm so sorry I didn't send it Friday for homework, but I had given you so much homework before.
Okay.
Okay, so this ordinance, please understand, was written for Soundview at one point in time, and the changes were requested by Soundview. So Mike Carey has gone through, he's made some minor changes for wording. Nothing that changes the context of it, but puts in some more legal jargon that should be there. He does have a question on this parking area one under 161-9, which he feels the existing language is circular in nature. So we might have to tighten up that language. And then he's got something about loitering in the parking park or parked. And then we go basically down to page 3, and he does suggest that we know what size we want the sign to be.
But that was in a recommendation earlier. Did Frank or someone specify 12 by 18? I can't remember the exact size, but I thought it had been in there.
I will check again.
Okay.
We can cover this at our special meeting too. if We have to.
State the days and
The hours of operation. I think that Mike putting more into this, like Mike has mentioned, state the days and times so that your area is going to be open, the hours it'll be open each day. Our parking lot is open till 9 o'clock. Please note though that our parking lot is only open till 6 as far as being charged. From 6 to 9, it's free for everyone.
And there's no gate there from 6 to 9.
The gate's open.
Right.
Right.
No chain or anything.
So you're asked, Mike was very adamant to me that we should not have rules for us that do not apply to our permitted lots, that they should be the same. So we all know when you travel to Soundview on a beach day, that about 5 o'clock, most of the lots are pretty skim. But the parking, people are leaving.
Mhm.
And there may be 3 or 4 other cars still sitting there waiting for people to leave. At that time, we have seen in the past that we may not have an attendant that's on, but they've been there most of the day. And I drive down there 3
Right.
times a day to see what's going on. But in most of the time, there's an attendant in every lot. So whatever we do for our town parking lot, we have to state here as well. Our rangers are on duty, basically in that lot from 10 to 5. They break up around 5 o'clock because they all go up, they start to break down the tent and bring things back down to the police department. So I do need you to understand that that has to be.
Well, I think we talked about that in the beginning. If we're not, if we have a rule, we can't expect them to have a more stringent rule than we have. So I agree, it should be similar.
Okay. So I'm gonna suggest that since you just got this today, that we should just also put this on the special meeting.
The Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I want to raise a further point. And I wasn't just doom scrolling on my phone. All of this looking at my phone was a lot of stuff came in 10 minutes
Mhm.
before the meeting. So I was trying to find where everything was. But when Soundview Commission took up these parking regs, they had extensive discussions with the businesses.
Right.
And one of the conditions that the businesses wanted, and part of this negotiation, was that the leased lots would not have to be, would not have to have supervision. The leased lots are, to be clear, that's not parking that's charged. Those
Right.
are lots that a business will lease a parking lot for the purpose of their customers' use. They do
Right.
not charge for parking.
Right.
So that's the difference between a leased lot and a regular parking lot. So a member of the general public can't just go in, pay $30 and park there.
Right.
They have to be a patron of the business and they can't be charged. That language was included in what we first saw.
And is it not in here?
It didn't make the.
Well, it
make the
needs to
cut
be
somehow. It
included.
needs to be in there because
Yes.
this whole thing sort of hinged on a very delicate negotiation with the businesses. We don't want to be anti-business, and this was one of the things that they wanted.
Mhm.
Or if they could support this, they wanted that. So I think it needs to be.
So that needs to be included as well as
it
a
needs to
couple
be
of other things.
included, yeah.
Okay.
And
So best we do it Wednesday than today.
Okay, And I'm going to, because of time, I'm going to just give you an update on the golf cart things because Matt Weber and the police have weighed in. They had a meeting this morning where they went over the proposed golf cart rules and regs. So a number of things. One is they would like to see us on page 1 where you might see equipment verification. They would also like to put that there should be a car seat in the car for those children that should be following car seat rules. I'm gonna put this on Wednesday's agenda.
Okay,
It's
good.
just, they also suggest that we note that there should be a flag and a horn. That's one of our major requirements. And then Matt also on page number, I think it's the last, next to the last page. He wants to add the word office where it says under registration period and fee. Town of Old Lyme and the resident state trooper's office shall set the fee for golf cart registration annually. So we have a situation where Soundview offered a 3-year registration last year. So there are people who took them up on that. That was $75 for 3 years. We would have to work those people in to say that they're grandfathered in. And he wants everything under the operators, these suggested, including but not limited. He wants these to be taken out. He said, we're just basically, you're saying you're obeying all state and local traffic regulations regarding operation of motor vehicles. Clear cut. We don't need to start listing out what those are. And then the other things that are important that golf carts should only be driven during daylight hours and no driving after dusk. And this is the kicker. They no longer want to do the inspections on the golf carts because they feel that they're not certified inspectors of a vehicle. They do not feel that that plays into their mode. I said, well, you do car seats. And they said, yeah, but we are certified. We actually have to take courses and become certified. We're not certified on golf carts. So that is something that we have to noodle in our heads during the next 48 hours to decide how we'd like to handle that. One of the suggestions I asked for a waiver year. I said, do you think we could have a waiver for this year? And they said, no,
Really?
they do not want to take that on because of liability insurance, et cetera. If something goes wrong. As you know, we did have the fire with the golf cart last year. So they said, you know, what if we had inspected it and said it was great and then it blows up 2 to 3 weeks later? We don't be held reliable.
How do other towns and communities handle that?
Well, that is something that I might be able to do some homework on tomorrow. There's, as far as I understand, there is only one person in Saybrook who handles inspections of golf carts and also does all the implementation and work on them as far as bringing them up to speed or the qualifications. that he's-
Independent person, do you think, or
It's a business.
is it?
Yeah.
Well, I know
Um,
where you think.
and
Anyway, that,
I know that there's one person in Hawks Nest who went out and bought seat belts and other
Mhm.
things that saw on this list as a potential, which is great because he's bringing his vehicle up. So I don't know how we would handle the inspections this year. I thought I'd call over and see if he would be able. We can't expect these people to trailer their golf carts to him. So I would wonder if he might be willing to come for a minor
certain
fee,
days, yeah.
to have it inspected and see if that's a possibility. So this is also something that I'll put on my plate for tomorrow. And unless either one of you want to take a course in inspecting golf carts, I think we're gonna have to get an expert in here.
I think it's going to be well worth whatever nominal fee I expect it to be, at least to get us through this season, and we have the upcoming year to solve it after that.
So while you're traveling tomorrow or tonight, if you'd be so kind to read up on these and make your notes, you make yours, that'll make Wednesday's meeting go
I
so
think
much
maybe
faster.
I'll read up tomorrow.
Okay, so
Thank you.
that is where we are. in 10 minutes. I need to be across the street, so I would like a motion to adjourn at 6:19.
I'll make the motion to adjourn at 6:19.
I will second.
Thank you both. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much for